Oh, okay. I couldn't hear me. What's happening? You were live and direct on Petty Sports, the podcast. There we go. I knew I couldn't hear me.
We're live and direct now, baby.
What's happening, people? It's your boy, Famous Facts Fees. We are live and direct on Petty Sports, the podcast, brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studios. I'm here live with my main man, Adam. He made it back. Holla at him.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Thought you could have got rid of me and my honest ass. No, I'm still here. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the hottest sports podcast in the city of Atlanta, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're ready for tonight's show. Man, we got so much on tap. It's been a great week of sports and new merchandise too. Your boys in the hat. The red shirt got Coach Fees over here, Assistant Lewis to here guide you through all the realness in sports tonight. But Fees, I'll let you take it away, man. What we got going on today?
Hey, man, we got a crazy docket like always. We're going to kick this thing off with some football. I know y'all heard about some crazy SEC news. We got a little update for the Olympics. You know that thing's been going hard if you can actually follow it because it's everywhere. Thought we had a little boxing, but they canceled that. We're going to keep this thing rolling strong with these AFC West updates. That's our last NFL division. I know it's been on and popping. If you've been on the YouTube,
yes.
If you missed it, go in there and check it out. Whatever team is your team, we got a video up for you. Come see me in the comments. I'm responding to everything.
Yep, absolutely.
Come holla at me.
Check the playlist. All 32 NFL teams are in there. Expectations, reality, 2021 predictions, everything you need to know before you're hopping into next NFL season.
Every single one of them. We got a hot little segment for you. Greatest power forward of all time. You don't want to miss that.
Oh, yes.
Yep, it's going to be real. But you know how we start every show. We get you off the top. So before I go off the top, got to let you know, get that popcorn ready. Get you a good smoke. Get you a drink. Strap in. We about to go hard for these next 2 hours. Man, off the top, got to get you something that's just been grinding my gears for a little while. Man, Deshaun Watson. He returned to training camp, he reported, because he was about to be fined $50,000 a day if he didn't. I mean, it was a no-brainer. He had to come back to camp, but he also came back to camp saying that he still wants to be traded.
Yep.
And then the team released a statement saying that they're open to trade offers.
How about that?
Still saying that they want 3 first-round picks and a couple of starter-caliber players. Like, first and foremost, we're not here to speak on the state of his actual lawsuits and civil suits and all of that. All I want to clarify is the fact that this man ain't going to play. Why would anyone offer them 3 of anything? You're talking about 3 first-round picks. They're not going to give you 3 blue Skittles. It has nothing to do with the man's play. He's a baller. But if you've watched Roger Goodell and the history of what he's done with players that have legal situations, if it carries out and he doesn't know the outcome, in order to get in front of it, because it's a PR nightmare for the league to just let him just be gallivanting out there like that, they're going to put him on a commissioner exempt list and then give him an indefinite suspension, and it'll hold until something comes of the cases. I mean, that's basically standard operating procedures for Goodell. The only reason he hasn't done it yet is because the season hasn't started.
Yep.
As it gets closer and more people jump on him, getting ready to protest and raise holy hell about that man being with the team, it'll expedite the process of Goodell doing his job. I mean, that's just how it works. He did that with Mike Vick. He did that with Greg Hardy. He did that with Kareem Hunt. The only player in recent history that did not get placed on that list was Antonio Brown.
Which was crazy.
His situation was light years different. There were far less actual accusers, and they got to the bottom of it a lot faster.
Yeah.
And he still got an 8-game suspension. So, I mean, at the end of it, at the very least, you're getting suspended. I don't know who's going to pay you that much for someone who can only play half a season. Like, that is asking a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you put it all out there, man. Why would any team logically want to make this trade? I mean, it's like like what we said with AB, and it's not the same situation, but it's, the instance of you're really just waiting for some sort of interest to where, yes, maybe that player will now get to perform in your league. As soon as a ounce of that gets suspected, he's going to go on the exempt list. Absolutely. Which, and I agree with you. Why hasn't it happened yet? And I think it just continues to add, to kind of the terrible reputation of the NFL. Roger Goodell is commissioner, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But overall, like you said, he's not playing football this year. What team would take a chance on him? And don't put your eggs into something that it's literally not there. He's just there on the market. And he's not on the market. He's just there to look at. You can't touch him. You can't have him. No offers. None of that. He's in a glass case, and he's going to not play this year. And that's what everybody needs to understand. The whole, well, maybe we'll offer this and send it. Like, yes, he's worth all of that. There's no question, like you said, about the talent, but it's the logistics of the situation. It's not going to happen, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, there's no team in the league that's going to touch that.
Yep.
The only team in the NFL that's dumb enough to touch that is the team that already has him on their roster.
Yep.
Not happening.
Yep. Now they want to trade him. How about that?
Do you really? Houston.
Ridiculous.
Jesus. Let's move on to some more pressing news.
Right.
Oklahoma
Woo.
and Texas
Big news.
are set to move
Big
to the
news.
SEC.
Wow. Quick.
Down south. It's likely not going to happen until 2025.
Right.
When the TV deals are finalized and they have basically fulfilled their obligations. They can exit the TV deals, which they say would be like a $75 to $80 million fine per school for them to get out of those deals.
God.
But I still don't think it's out of the question that they actually do it. If they project the numbers and can figure out that they're actually going to make that money back and more by moving to the SEC, then they'll absolutely do it.
It's a business.
Yeah, they're like, all right, take a L
move.
right now to get a much bigger gain in a year or two.
Yeah. Literally the definition of sacrificing for an investment.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to go down to. It's going to be a business move,
With the size of the endowments of those programs, I'm sure they could actually do it. It's just a matter of whether they can. They just have to make sure it makes sense to not wait. So, with Oklahoma and Texas potentially moving into the SEC, and I say potentially just because it hasn't been voted on by the SEC and confirmed, but they're going to let them in.
I think, 11 to 14 votes is what they need? Yeah, but they've already written the letters, signed, all that out there. We're just waiting on, again, the situation to happen.
Texas A&M doesn't have enough votes to veto it.
Perfect. They can sit there and whine about it. They'll sit there and whine about it.
They don't want them in that conference.
Yeah. It's the toughest conference in college football, man. You come there to play. Every team in the SEC, within reason, is thinking about the title. You can't say that about every. Okay, yeah, they are.
You can't say that about the SEC. Stop it.
Yeah, you thinking about the title. You're in the SEC, bro. It's the toughest conference in college football. You're with the motivation. That's what I said. With exception, I'm talking about the big dogs in the SEC, the guys that we're always talking about.
You know how many teams is in that conference?
Yes, that's why I said with an exception. The teams that are up there every year that are actually up in the rankings, they're thinking about the title.
They're about
You can't say that about the ACC, or you can't say that about these other conferences out here. It's not nearly as tough as the SEC. That's why this is a big move.
Your statements are just outlandish. There's 4 to 5 teams regularly that rotate in the conference that are looking at a title. It's not the
maybe
whole
with another
conference.
2 or 3. Yeah, right. No,
not.
Correct. The whole conference, no. That's why I said right after I said whole conference, with an exception. So really, let me take that back. All the teams that are usually being ranked high in the SEC, they're looking for, with the exception, I think, also of a couple more teams. Like you had, well, it wasn't SEC, but you always have TCU a few years ago, wasn't SEC. But when you have those teams that surge up towards the top, but if it's ever an SEC team, they're always looking for title aspirations because that's the toughness of that conference. Yeah, and that's why Oklahoma and Texas going it's going to be huge. I couldn't believe the news when it really broke, but then, like you said, we were talking about it. Colin was saying, oh, wow, this is already done. We're just waiting on the logistics, just the legalities of it, really.
Right. So when they move over there, because we're just going to speak of it as it is going to happen because it is. When they take both these teams over there, do you think they'll both go to the SEC West because of where they're located, or they'll realign the conference or just split them up?
Right. So kind of like you said a couple weeks ago, it feels like a two-piece question. It could happen 2 ways. So I see them going over there, maybe just residing in the West because it is a little while out. I don't think the SEC is really trying to cram this in right now. They know they got a few years to operate. Alabama, Georgia, LSU, all these big teams are going to have potentially whole new classes in there, which yeah, that's when the deal lines up for 2025. But it kind of works out as well. You know, you're going to be getting some fresh legs every really 4 years in college. I think they'll relax, you know, in the West. And then I feel like this one move here is just going to be a domino effect. I mean, we see it in sports all the time. Super teams being formed, people holding out. I deserve this because I had half a good season or one good season. This is going to be the start of people really wanting to chomp off as big a bite as they can. I mean, you think about college football, but just think about this, Fees. NIL, and we're adding 2 teams to the toughest conference in college football within a matter of a month. How wild is that to actually think about? And 2 teams that are not slouches. Like, you look at Oklahoma and Texas have 14 of the 19 championships in their current conference, and they're coming to the SEC. If you put them now in the SEC, 5 of the top 7 teams in the country are in the SEC. It just goes to show you the weight of it. But back to what you said, I think they hang out in the West at first. Once the moves start coming, that I think they'll just kind of, maybe the SEC comes in and just realizes, hey, we got 6, 8, whatever it might be. Teams coming in, let's kind of come together and just rehash this out. And I think it'll be big for college football. I think it'll be huge, just like NIL is. So it's a great move to see, you know, for the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point you put in because they did reach out to some other schools in the Big Ten and
right.
such. But as it stands, if they only have these 2 coming in
right
when they're scheduled to come in, I think they will put Oklahoma in the East and Texas in the West.
That'd be fair, too.
Just like they put Texas A&M in the West and they put Missouri in the East. So, I mean, they already have 2 Big 12 schools that moved in there in 2012. I mean, they agreed in 2011. They actually left the conference in 2012. So
right.
they've already had a couple of teams come from the Big 12. Now you're getting 2 more. So, I mean, they're effectively just basically killing the entire Big 12. It's
right.
going to probably end up dissolving.
Right.
But I wholeheartedly believe that they'll just split them up. And it would make sense if you put Oklahoma in the East and Texas in the West.
Right.
Just because the West already has by far the stronger teams in the SEC.
Right.
That's generally where and everybody talks about the SEC winning championships. Florida's the only team in the East that's won anything. All those titles are in the West.
Incoming Bulldogs fans now.
I mean, what, they can jump in and say they've won something? You won what? Yeah, nothing? Okay. So you insert Oklahoma into the SEC
man.
East, you can be guaranteed Oklahoma is playing for the SEC championship every year.
Yeah, at least every other season. Because, like, you know, and I know another part we're getting into is which team is rather going to be better. And I mean, look at Oklahoma. Look at the quarterbacks they've had come through that school. Look at the continued success that they've started to chip away that slowly, and Lincoln Riley getting his respect. And then you hear a lot of talk of these Oklahoma quarterbacks now being in the NFL. And it's just a huge cycle that, I mean, they got a lot of talent coming through that school. So I love Oklahoma being in the SEC in the future. Absolutely.
I mean, outside of Bama, I don't really see anybody there that could be. If they were to move to the SEC this upcoming season, it would be between Oklahoma and Bama.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Florida made the SEC championship game just this last year. Bama beat them in a straight-up shootout.
Right.
And then Florida turned around and got waxed by Oklahoma.
Yep.
I mean, Oklahoma beat them by over 30.
Yeah.
And that was your SEC East representative last year.
Yep.
I mean, the second best team in the SEC last year was another Big 12 transplant. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M went 9-1. The only game they lost all season was to Alabama, but they were also in the West, so they couldn't play them again.
Yep.
So, I mean, as much as we give the conference credit, we must also acknowledge that when those other 2 teams moved into the conference, being Texas A&M and Missouri went to back-to-back SEC championship games, winning the East. Since they've been in there, both of them they've played 9 seasons. We've got now Missouri's finished first in the East twice, third twice, and fourth twice. So, I mean, they're not getting smacked around like folks would suggest because the East isn't actually that good. Texas A&M, they finished second in the West 3 times and 4 times. It's like they've come in the conference and have been very successful, and they actually weren't that successful in the Big 12. They've done better in the SEC than they did in the perceived weaker conference. That's not to say that the Big 12 is better. What I am saying is the SEC is very top-heavy, and it always has been.
Right.
Folks get very out of pocket with acting like every single team in that conference is a juggernaut. They're not.
Right.
Like, those teams walked in, they did very well. Oklahoma will come in, and they will wreak havoc on the conference. And a lot of people will not like it. Well, they'll just start hanging the SEC hat on them, and that'll be more reason for Georgia fans to have excuses as to why they don't win. They have good teams, but no, never get it done. Especially if you don't get to wait like 4 weeks in between times to play them.
Right.
Like the offense that Oklahoma has when you have to play a game on Saturday and then turn around and play them next Saturday and go to Oklahoma.
Yep.
A lot of those teams are not going to enjoy that.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, Oklahoma, they're not a slouch. I mean, when I heard, Oklahoma and Texas, okay, Texas, like, go figure, like, they've had some talent, of course, but we can agree that Texas is never a team we truly anticipate being in the college football playoff, maybe a title game, but we're not going to see them in the national championship. But Oklahoma, on the other hand, I mean, look, like I said, I'll go back to the quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and then you had Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts would have won the Heisman if Joe Burrow didn't happen. I was fully putting my eggs in that bag. I mean, the dude was cutting it up. He was killing it, running all over the place. Yeah, he had some turnover, towards the end of the year, and then that's why it pisses me off now because people talk about Jalen Hurts like, oh, he's a bust. You try to relate him to, like, no, dude. If you didn't see Jalen at Alabama and then at Oklahoma cutting it up the first year, like, that just shows. And the fact that Lincoln Riley, he's obviously got something great going on there because, like, that's 3 straight quarterbacks with pretty high success, and you've had a good chance to chase a title. So I'm going to love seeing Oklahoma over here in the SEC. I think they're going to raise hell. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I'm absolutely rooting for them because, I'm not a fan of the conference. I hope they come in and run through them. So, man, before we move along, should the Big 12 just go ahead and just dissolve the rest of the conference?
I got to say, yeah. I mean, not now, but I'm telling you, Fees, watch. This is going to be a domino because we've seen these things in sports. Things are changing. Nothing is really the same. People talk about comparing eras and pulling this here and pulling that there, but this is the world that we're in now. I mean, we see you've got the Cleveland Guardians. You've got the Washington football team. You've got team names speculating all the time. It's moving into conferences. College players are getting paid now. Like, the sports landscape is changing right in front of our eyes and pretty damn quick, if you ask me. Let's see. I give it a decade maybe. And hell, maybe it's accelerated. I mean, think about it. You've got 2 very reputable teams now coming out of that conference. I mean, think about it. If this was, maybe one team or another, maybe we're not talking about it as much. I mean, this is Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC. We're not talking about the ACC. We're talking about the Southeastern Conference of college football. This is a spark. And I'm actually happy we're talking about this. This is a big spark for the NCAA. And I mean, it's just a business move. Like, like we're going to say with the NFL, they're just protecting Mr. Dollar because now there is a dollar bill in it. Now your product on the field is monetized. Not just your merch, not just your tickets, not just your concessions, not just your stadiums. No, you're in this now, bro. Be ready for it. Be ready for it.
In the past 20 years, Oklahoma and Texas combined have been to about 8 national championships and won 2 of them. No one else in their conference has.
Exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, man, it's big. This is big. What a way to start the show off.
They're completely losing their entire conference identity.
Right.
After this, I don't know if the other conferences are going to want them, but they're going to have to try to pull the other teams in just to keep their marquee teams in.
This is so good, but so bad, and here's why, right? So when I first started watching college, you always get the question, you like NFL or college more? And I used to like college more. Drive from the kids. They're not paid. Stories are great. I mean, look at Shannon Sharp, Savannah State. I remember him saying, I was talking to my guy. Do I stay here? Do I continue to play? Yeah, Shay, stay there and play. They're going to see you. Like, you will be found. And now you're seeing these stories so beautiful in the college game. But now you're pulling in players. Now you're having conferences realign. And here's the thing. Real diehards, guys that are actually out there in the trenches, every Saturday looking for Herb Street and Tebow reporting or whatever the case may be, they're probably not going to like this. But at the end of the day, like I said, that's what it's turning into. And they're probably going to try to, I could maybe see a lawsuit of, trying to monopolize the NCAA football game. But I mean, it's what it's coming down to. I mean, let's just be real. How many people have truly competed with the NFL? Nobody.
No.
The XFL is going to try to give it another shot. We'll see. Credit to The Rock. But, I mean, go figure. So I'm happy for this, man. I love to see changes. It's going to be different. And I mean, who knows how this is just going to impact everything.
If you get the conferences together like this, then that eliminates the need for this massive playoff because all the teams are going to play each other.
And here's another thing. It's like what do you have, like almost 200 college football teams? Hell, probably more than that. It's just the ones that they can account for because they're seen on a regular basis. But I think this is just going to, because I know every school wants to have athletics and let's have football, and I mean it's the biggest sport in America. You got football, you've got soccer, golf is pretty huge, but I mean football really reigns supreme. And when you're talking about, excuse me, when you're talking about being able to just make it that much more intense, it's just going to start benefits for you at that point. So,
oh yeah, I mean, like when you start really looking at this move for what it is, now you got schools like a Clemson, a Miami, a Ohio State, a Michigan, a Notre Dame, a USC, a Oregon, like 4 to the Pac-12, send Baylor, Kansas State, Texas Tech, and TCU to the Pac, and they'll send the other 4 to the Big Ten. It'll be West Virginia, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, and Kansas.
Yep.
Just divvy them up.
Crazy as hell, man.
If they can't divvy them up like that and they have to try to function alone as an 18 conference,
yep,
they're going to see more teams move into these super conferences, whether they go to the SEC or the ACC forms another conference.
Yep.
One way or the other, there's going to be 2 super conferences, and these conferences will battle it out.
Mm-hmm. I highly agree.
And
with you,
I'd
man.
be 1,000,000% fine with that.
Yeah, because, and when I said things are going to be more intense, like you're just going to have these small schools that probably don't have a lot of money into the program. They're never televised. Like, you got to look them up deep to find who they're playing. Like, I just feel like those schools, it's just going to be survival of the fittest. The food chain will just thin out. And it's like, if you're really not a top 12 to 15 talking point in college football, we don't care about you. That's kind of how it already is anyways, Unless you get a player coming from, the stupid North Dakota State quarterback hype, stuff like that. But, with the exception of other things, you'll usually keep it within the realm of the top 12 to 15 people. And that's going to end up being the SEC. I mean, it's got to be.
Well, I mean, as far as like guys going to the league, there's always going to be players from the smaller schools. But as far as our watching pleasure and what we want to see on Saturdays,
yep,
we don't care to watch those schools.
Right.
I mean, I just heard a few days ago that 50% of the NFL is undrafted.
Yeah.
They just walked in there and then was like, okay, this guy is actually better than the ones that I wasted my time evaluating in the draft. But that ain't what we watching on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's your job, not mine. I don't want to see that.
Right.
But I think it's going to be a whole lot of that moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
These teams are going to realign conferences. Like, I can't wait, really. I hope they just go ahead and speed up the process. But pay the fine and do it next year.
Yep.
Just move. We don't want to sit up and talk about this for the next 4 years. Just make it happen.
Yeah.
Man, before we get to the Kobe break, when we come back off this thing, we definitely got to jump in and talk about these Olympics. I know y'all been watching. Got a few questions on deck for you about it. It is now officially 8:24. We got to pay homage to the late, great Kobe Bean. She gets me on the text every day when I'm in here. Go ahead and count us down.
I got you, brother. 3, 2, 1. Kobe. R.I.P. Black Mamba. We need some of your Mamba mentality at the Olympics, bro. Team USA. I mean, good bounce back for them. I know we're not getting there yet, but miss watching Kobe playing for Team USA. It was a ball. Yeah. This is like the one point in the show where we just awkwardly stare up there because we're just watching all the highlights. But it's totally allowed. It's totally fine.
It can be the 150 millionth time and one that I've watched him. But
right. So I saw a meme. Did not fact check it. Could be fake, like a lot of memes, but apparently the one and only time Kobe Bryant's grandmother came to one of his NBA games was when he dropped 81. Apparently.
I think that is true.
Is it? Okay. There's just one of those little pictures like, oh, I'm supposed to believe this. I don't know, bro. So, yeah, but I saw that and I was like, okay, that would be kind of dope.
Like an interview documentary piece where he talked about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a special night. Gotta love that. I love when teammates go, like, they don't get to go to, or not, excuse me, family members get to go to a player's, like, game, but it might not be often, but it's always something iconic. Always. I love to see that.
Absolutely. So, man, before we jump into these Olympics, man, I got to throw this thing over to Mike Beasy so we can let y'all know who pays the bills around this thing. Take them away.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for passing the torch. Famous Facts Feed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here tonight. You are watching and tuned in to Petty Sports every Wednesday, sometimes Tuesday. Appreciate you tuning in. All brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studios. You got your boy Adam Lewis back on deck today. Glad to be in the building. Good to see you, good sir. Famous Facts Feed, spitting what he do all the time. Straight facts, you know what I'm saying? Call in, get it off your chest. 678-871-9602. Call, text, share with your friends and neighbors. Call a friend and neighbor, text a friend and neighbor, you know what I'm saying? Your co-workers, let them know these guys are on back at the table, doing what they do. Petty Sports. You can check them out just about any Podcast. You go to Apple, Google, Spotify, on iHeartRadio. You know what I'm saying? Petty Sports, that's with a Z. They're on Facebook and YouTube, just the same. Like, follow, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff, man. So anytime these guys go hot, you'll be notified and can tune in right away. Call in at 678-871-9602, 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the conversation tonight. We'd love to hear from you. Everybody in the chat room, we see you. Thanks for joining and tuning in. Go to kingsbroadcasting.com, spend some money, get some merch. You see, we got new merch on deck. The guys sporting the headgear tonight, you know what I'm saying? Got the polo shirts and thing. You know how we do over here. We want to keep it fresh. You know what I'm talking about? Back to the regular scheduled program. ATL, Hope. Support Black business.
Yes, sir. We are back.
Yeah,
I see my man Birdie in there, man. He ain't been on here in a minute. My man Birdie Capello.
Welcome to the show, brother.
His billiards team have made nationals. I can't remember what they called it.
Wow.
Mad at me, man, but they cold though.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like that's made.
Hey, for real out there shooting a stick. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Nice, man. Good stuff. Share, I get my tattoos now. The other half tattoos. Noon in Georgia. Check the YouTube chat. They're really good folks over there. Evan did my sleeve. Jamila, what's up? Let's see. Herman, is that you're talking about Herman? Yeah. What's up with you, man? Good to see y'all in here. Appreciate the love on YouTube, guys. I mean, I think we just did 1,000 watch hours in like 4 weeks. Like 20 subs over the week. Y'all are just crushing it. And shout out to Fees, man. We came together on some content planning, and we're just going to push everything out, as many posts as we can a day within a good time, good tags optimized for you guys. But I appreciate the love. Check the link. Every social media account we have, check the link. That's the league tree. Officially, no excuse to not know where we are. It's every platform. Fees, take us off, bro.
Oh yeah, I see a Jackson Nocella in there. That's a new face.
Okay.
What's happening?
Hey man, I appreciate everybody. Call the show. Y'all are so scared. What is wrong with y'all? Call the show. Like, I don't know what to do, man. I gotta think. Get some incentive for these guys.
Yeah, man. So check this out. I know y'all been watching the Olympics. We've been watching. We've been trying to watch. I mean, what's your favorite Olympic sport that's not mainstream to watch?
Yeah, so I was actually talking to my dad about this a couple weeks ago, and ironically enough, my grandmother too, like a month before my dad and I talked about it, and they both brought it up. It's like competitive power walking, race walking. Yeah, like actual like people speed walk, like for a competition. Yeah, it's just go and just speed walking, arms moving, like heel toe. I mean, So, I mean, I guess it's cool. I guess that's probably the most interesting one. I mean, I know you've got rowing, I think, or whatever it is. I mean, there's
judging that to be like your foot came up too much. That's a run. That's to be disqualified.
Right. Like
that is jogging.
You are faster than 12.7 miles per hour, sir. That is considered a run. You are disqualified. I apologize. We will see you in 4 years. Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, I'd have to say race walking though, or the synchronized swimming. Well, is that televised? Yeah, don't you see some of that? The synchronized swimming.
Oh well, I mean, you see everything this year,
right?
Like we were just talking about that before we got on air. Like, man, I don't know what the deal is with the person that they actually tasked with what they're broadcasting.
Like on the prompter, yeah.
Like, I've taken a special liking to rowing. I don't know what it is. I would never watch that on a normal basis, but it's on for the Olympics. They got the little flags on the water, and then they show it. You see they both come up and up every time they roll. I'd be stuck to it. Like, I will watch, like, rowing one after the other for the entire race. It's crazy, but I like it. I don't even know why. I'm just, like, strangely drawn to it. But the way they cover it, I'm watching, be like, man, Australia out here now we're watching cycle. Oh, now you got 3-on-3 basketball.
Right.
Oh, okay. Like, man, that was a nice crossover. Oh, he's about to hit volleyball. It's like, bro, could you make up your mind?
Right. Like we need at least 45 seconds of continuous action from one sport before we go to the next. Please and thank you.
It's like they're not even watching. They're just like, let's just switch it. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, I'm back to volleyball. They're about to spike. Oh, nope, switch. Like, man, come on. Like, like this, we got skating on now. Like, this a cold little movie about to do on a skateboard. Like, oh, he hit that rail, boop, switch.
Flip.
Like, bruh.
Right. I can't even get the highlights in. How am I supposed to clip this for the highlights? I can't even see it.
It's like, oh, now we're back to rowing.
Right.
What I was trying to watch in the first place.
Right. Now all the way. 17 sports later, we're back home. Point of beginning.
I will say this to whoever's covering it. Don't change it when the track and field comes on. We want to see the hype. We want to see them talk about each one of the runners before they get up there. I want to see them stretch it out, see them race, see the interviews, and then listen to them talk about it until the next race comes on. You can't do that when track and field comes on. I don't know who it is that needs to hear this. Y'all need to share it. Let them know. Tell them to hit us up on Petty Sports. We'll help them out. Mm-hmm. Do not change the track and field. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I'd be damned. We sitting up watching track and field, and all of a sudden, you just switch away, and then you switch back, and they're like, go. Like, wait, oh, you don't even know it's on yet. Now you done missed the race. You can't do that. Like, that's a marquee event for the Olympics, and you can't do it.
Yep. Jamal, I see you women's gymnastics and track and field recently got into swimming too. Yeah, not bad. You know, good competitive sports. Track and field. Man, when I ran track in like late middle, early high school, that is a very, very competitive sport. And a lot of people think it's really just running, you know, throwing, whatever you might be doing. No, man, that's some of the hardest conditioning out there because it's really no equipment. It is you and the clay and your spikes, like that, and your starting blocks. That is it. And it's on you. I mean, it's really the diet, the sleep, the mentality, you know, but like, I got a lot of respect. Like I know Simone's and, you know, obviously not track and field, but like Simone, Usain Bolt, you know, like all these big names that really have a lot of intense training for 10 to 90 seconds to get judged for a gold medal. Like, that's crazy, man. Immense pressure. Hats off to those guys.
Man, we're just going to roll right on into it since you mentioned her. Simone Biles is now officially withdrawn from both the team and individuals. Oh, it sounds like we got a caller. Oh, nope. Somebody thought they were going to call. They hit us with that pump fake.
Scared asses. What's wrong with y'all?
Don't pump fake us like that.
We got to knock the dust off the dialer real quick.
Now, Simone Biles is officially withdrawn from both the individual and team competitions, which was initially reported as an injury and more recently now due to mental health. Now, what are your thoughts on this development?
Yeah, so as far as the development of the story, I mean, maybe they just got it wrong at first, but as it's coming down to the mental health, this is extremely important, and I'll give all the shout out to Colin Cowherd right now because he really put it in great perspective. When you're talking about Simone Biles, and she's not on the same pressure as a Brady or a LeBron or a Colin Morikawa or you know, all these other big guys, you know, Rafael Nadal, like or Djokovic, whoever it might be, you know, they perform a lot more often than Simone Biles does. She trains for years to, like I just said, get judged in maybe a matter of 60 to 90 seconds. That's a lot of pressure. And you know, when you only have 90 seconds to prove your worth, think about it. We get more than 90 seconds in an interview. You might get 90 minutes in a job interview, still not qualified. When you're out there doing what Simone Biles is doing, sounds like we actually might have a caller. Doing what Simone Biles is doing, that takes extreme mental toughness. And this isn't one of those things where you want to say, oh, they're blaming it on mental health, that they're not okay. Like, no, let's not freak out about it. Like, your brain is a huge foundation of who you are. I think we got a caller here. Welcome to Petty Sports.
Yes, sir. We got our first caller for the day.
Yeah.
Caller, let us know where you're calling from. What's your name? All right.
He's about to get put on right now. But yeah, man, I mean, the mental toughness with Simone, just huge credit to her. I mean, she knows what has to be done. She knows exactly what has to be done.
Oh, absolutely.
Caller with us? Or are we still rolling? Good. All right.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, okay. I can't hear him.
Yeah, I can't hear him either. Sorry, guys. I can hear him now.
Oh, is that Birdie?
What's good, brother? You with us?
We can't hear you.
I can hear him. I don't know if he can hear us in order to reply to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't hear anything.
I hear just phone static, really. So, sorry, guys. We're trying to get him dialed in. This is what y'all get for not calling into the show every week. Yeah, see, I can hear.
Like we got some action.
Yeah. What's up, Birdie? You with us? No?
Hello?
We had him. I
over there. I don't think he can hear us. Birdie, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Vasquez-Capella. Yeah, I can hear you, man. I'm at Walgreens trying to get medicine for the wifey.
Oh, okay, cool, man. What you got on your mind? Tell us what you got. We're here for you.
Yeah, man. I appreciated the shout out, man.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Appreciate you tuning in. What brings you to the show tonight? You just looking for some great sports content? You got something to say?
Yeah, man. Actually, like I said, I wanted to say thank you very much to Ross, man, for shouting out the team. Chirac decided to win this year. We won the championship and off to Las Vegas in October to play in a big-ass tournament against everybody.
Hell yeah.
What's up,
Congrats. It's called Chirac. I love that. Yeah. That is perfect. I really thought he was referring to Cher for some reason. I was like, okay, that's a dope-ass name, but boom, works even better. All right, cool, man.
Yo, man, I appreciate it, man. I want to give a shout-out to all the guys, too, all the teammates, man. Without them, we didn't do it. Tom, John, Greg, Josh, Chino, Oscar, everybody threw down, and Jorge, man, you guys did a great job. I truly appreciate the hard work they put in. 16 weeks playing against like 12 different teams, and then we went to a citywide tournament, played against about 32 different teams, ended up starting at like 10 in the morning, didn't finish till by almost midnight.
Wow.
So we came out ahead. It's awesome, man. Chance to win $25,000 in October if our team wins.
Nice, bro.
That's all the way live right there, man.
Right.
We should make a push to get billiards into the Olympics. If they can speed walk, they can have a pool competition.
Right.
Yo, man, I heard that speed walk. I watched it. That thing is the most hilarious thing in the world, man.
Hey, they out there for it, bro. I mean, they're pushing it. They're pushing it, so whatever works.
That's pumping. They look like really strong pigeons running, you know, like really strong pigeons.
Facts.
It's
No,
hilarious.
I totally agree with you. I was like, man, I got to mention it. No, good stuff, though. Appreciate you calling in, man.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, they're asking me questions, bro. I got to go, but I wanted to call in and say I love what you're doing. Keep it going. The people appreciate it. The people are watching it. And man, I love you, man. I love you, bro.
All right, man. We love you too, brother.
Share the show.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, man. I'm out here, man. You guys, much love, man.
All right, deuces, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Like I told you, he told us the name. They called the Chiracs. That's a pretty dope name.
Yeah, that is.
A pool team. Like,
Yeah.
They got that one all the way in. So, man, back to this Simone Biles topic.
Right. So, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You got it.
I've really got to weigh in on this. I mean, the way people are approaching the whole mental health issue. I mean, there are a lot of folks that are they're calling her weak, saying that she quit, calling her cowards, and
That's
all types of other
terrible.
things that we could say, but I'm not. It's just not necessary. But just like what you were saying, the amount of pressure on her is outlandish for her to have trained for so long just to get up there for this one little moment. But she's already showed us multiple times in the Olympics and in the World Games that she is more than ready. Like, she's adept to handle that.
She has more medals than
can.
ages in her life.
Yeah, like she can handle that with no problem. What the bigger issue is the way the Olympic Committee conspired against her.
Right.
I don't think it's a coincidence that not too long after they decided to start discrediting the difficulty scores of her routines to try to cut down on the amount of points that she can score, just because the routines are more difficult than anything that even the men can accomplish, let alone the women that she's competing against, to try to make them feel better or give them a chance to actually beat her. If she's that much better, she's just that much better.
Right.
That's not how sports work.
Exactly.
I mean, people are attacking her because she feels a way. I mean, I don't know that that's what it was that triggered the issue, but it's definitely, like, I mean, it raises a super eyebrow. It'd be like, oh, you guys changed the rules to try to stop her from winning. She's like, man, all right, like this is what we're doing? Mm-hmm. Like, it's disgusting.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that people would call her weak or a quitter or someone not up for the challenge, like, are you kidding me? Like, seriously, like, so if you really want to be technical, don't you think there's kind of a reason the Olympics are every 4 years? Because it's the best of the best athletes from around the world.
The whole thing.
The whole globe, baby. If you coming from Mars, whatever it may be, verify yourself. We'll have you in. It's more content, okay? That is absolutely insane that people would say she's quitting. She has more gold medals than years she's been alive. Let's be real, guys. Like people said, if she doesn't even go to Tokyo, she's still the greatest gymnast the United States of America has ever seen in that aspect.
That anyone has ever seen.
Exactly. And if you can do math, it shows you.
She's got 4 moves named after her.
Exactly.
That's insane.
Her athleticism is impeccable. Her dedication to the game is impeccable. Her mental toughness is like no other, especially considering what she has to do. See, and here's the thing, and this is why it kind of goes back to the track a little bit. People think you got to be getting the hell beat out of you with pigskin in your hands, or you got to be swinging a piece of wood, hitting a ball or striking a tennis ball. No, dude. Some of the hardest sports in this world, swimming, tumbling, gymnastics, track and field, when it's really coming down to a lot falling back on the athlete more than the equipment they're having to interact with, that's when it becomes harder, because now you have to acquire that extra discipline, that extra meal that you're not going to cheat on, those extra 2 hours of sleep potentially. Like, I could go for a while about it, but it's so much deeper than quitting. That's a really, really shallow take for people to say. I can't believe people are out there saying that, bro. Sorry, that just kind of got me a little knocked off my rocker, man.
It's ridiculous. Like, no one making...
Can't stand when people discredit athletes like that.
No one making these comments about them has even fathomed a fraction of the amount of pressure and scrutiny that she has.
Exactly.
Like, it didn't start now. They've been on her since she started winning. Back in 2013, she's been dealing with this for 8 years.
Yeah. I mean, look,
it ain't stopping.
Yeah, and like another kind of similar situation, not necessarily as young, but like, you remember when Coco Gauff came in? There was a lot of, oh my God, she's so young. Can she even do this? Give her chance. Give her flowers if she does it, and move on. Same with Simone. It's crazy how much people would go to the extent of just taking away something from someone, especially an athlete that's worked so hard for it.
It's pathetic, man.
Yeah, it honestly is. It's very pathetic.
Man, we're going to stick with the Olympics, but we're going to move on to USA basketball, because we all know that we've been following this team, and it's been very dreary on the landscape of what we expect out of our NBA team, well, our NBA superstars in the Olympics. We all know about the loss to France. That was pitiful. And there's no excuse for it. I don't care if they don't have team continuity. We have too many stars to be losing these games. They just came back early this morning, almost yesterday, last night, but it was early this morning, and it was on Peacock, which no one has. How you gonna put the game on a station that we have to purchase to watch the Olympics?
You say, which no one has.
No one's paying for it. Even Giannis came on and was like, the game's on Peacock, I ain't paying for that.
Right.
He got plenty of money.
This is Giannis we're talking about.
That man got $200+ million and he ain't paying for Peacock. I ain't paying for Peacock. He's not doing it, bro. I mean, they beat Iran by 54 points.
Yeah. Smacked them up.
And now everyone feels like the team has arrived. They got the Czech Republic on Saturday at 8 a.m. And it's probably going to be on Peacock again, so we'll just have to wait to see what happens. But regardless, if they go ahead and beat the Czech Republic, then they're definitely going to make it into the medal rounds, which start on Monday. 12 teams out of these 3 pools will advance. Well, that's how many there are total. 8 teams advance to the quarterfinals, and then so forth. Do you think the U.S. team will actually leave the Olympics this year with a medal? And if so, which one?
So it is very possible. It's kind of hard to foresee it right now because, the way the NBA season was, COVID, it's not totally normal for these players hopping into the Olympics right now. I know it's a lot of guys that bounce out of the playoffs, but you're still coming off, short rest. Nonetheless, hopping now right into the Olympics after not getting a whole lot of rest from the NBA. So I could see a silver, a bronze. I don't see a gold. I just think we're a little too off for that right now. Chemistry's not there. And I know we got a lot of talent, but like when you look at how Popovich is actually officiating these guys, like we're just falling short in some aspects. But then again, we have so much talent to where we could turn it around and shoot for the stars at this point. I mean, you look at Kevin Durant, again, only having 10 points, and when you're blowing Iran out 120 68-66, but we dropped 60 in the first half. So we're obviously kind of getting something under our belts where the continuity is getting better. The chemistry is going. I mean, all of our players are now meshing together. Damian Lillard, 18 points in 20 minutes, ended up finishing with 25 plus, I believe, for the game. So like, we've got guys out there that we know can play, and they're just looking more comfortable. I mean, when you start to go through the storylines and the actual numbers of what Team USA did against Iran, it's not out of the ordinary. This is what these players are doing respectively for the Blazers and the Mavericks and the Lakers or whoever it is that's out there repping Team USA. These guys are finally just starting to hit their stride and just perform. And this is what we've needed. You know, I don't see a gold medal as much as I'd like to. It's just, I feel like it's too far-fetched right now, especially with how the exhibitions went. But I know those don't really weigh in because, you know, now's the time to, you know, put the pencil to the paper, the rubber meets the road, whatever you want to call it. And we're getting into the medal rounds. So we'll see how USA continues to develop. But, I mean, overall, they got the job done. And, I mean, 120-66, that's pretty convincing. I mean, whatever happened before that, like, you still got to take that game for what it is. You still put up a lot of points on a team. And, yes, it is Iran. But it's kind of like when you have a good team in the NFL and, oh, they've beat – you know, they're 7-0, but they beat no team. Okay, yeah, but they've still got some sort of experience under there, which makes me hold back from the potential, you know, gold medal height. So,
I mean, I absolutely agree. It just all depends on how it falls and how they see them moving forward into the medal rounds. Because if they have to play Slovakia and I was about to call him Dirk, and Luka, I don't know why his name was just ready to spew out. But, I mean, we saw what Luka did. The man scored 48 points in 31 minutes. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't care where you're playing. I mean, at the level that he's playing at, if the U.S. draws Slovakia, like, in the semis, then it might be we're scrapping to get a bronze medal. I mean, I don't know that I would pick us against them. Granted, we do have more stars, and there's no excuse for us losing to any of these teams. I don't care how long they've been playing together, any of that. We have so much more talent, and all of these superstars out there, they need to get it together. And I think a lot of the problem has actually been Greg Popovich, because I've heard reports saying that he was actually trying to run the San Antonio Spurs offense with a team of megastars. Like, they don't need all of that. They barely need you to run any offensive sets. Just make sure they actually play some defense. They aren't stopping anybody. Iran didn't have scores. That's not really a good representation of what you can expect to see out of them moving forward. So I'm not sold. It was a good win. I'm glad they finally actually showed up like they were supposed to, but I've still got one eye just on them moving forward because I don't have faith in it. I mean, at this point, I would have to go as far as saying, like, I feel confident that they'll get a bronze, maybe a silver. I wouldn't put any money on them winning gold this year.
Exactly.
And it's sad. Definitely sad.
Yeah.
Before we move on, we're going to talk about the 2022 Madden wide receiver rankings. But one more time, we got to throw this thing over to Mike Beasley. Go ahead and holler at him right quick, Mike Bell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're tuned in to Petty Sports Wednesday night edition brought to you by the one and only Kings Broadcasting Studios. We thank you so much for tuning in. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here with the crew at the table once again. Call in 678-871-9602. 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. Go to kingsbroadcasting.com. Kingsbroadcasting.com. That's Kings with a Z. You know what I'm saying? Support black business. Support black business. Support black businesses, because we do, you know what I'm saying? We got all kinds of merch over there. You see the guys rocking the hats. They got the new shirts in, you know what I mean? The polo style, the t-shirts and all that, the tumblers. You know, just go over there and check it out. You know what I'm saying? At the bottom of the page, we got a donate button as well. So if you like the content, if you like what we're doing over here at Kings Broadcasting Studio, support with your dollars. You know what I'm saying? Not just with your clicks and your likes. Support with some monetary donation. None is too big and none is too small. So we greatly appreciate it. Go check them out on the different podcast platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Just type in Petty Sports. That's Petty Sports with a Z. And you can check out all the previous shows that have aired up to now. And this one will air tomorrow. So sometime around noon or a little after maybe, this show will be up and running. And you can check this one out as well. Go to YouTube, Facebook, like, follow, subscribe, keep sharing the show. Hit them thumbs up, those emojis. Help us do what we do. You know, I'm trying to go viral like at any minute, like right now, like any second, like help us out. You know what I'm saying? Without no you, there is no us. We greatly appreciate your time. You know what I'm saying? ATL, hold now back to the regular scheduled program.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Just like we told you, we're going to come back in and jump into these Madden 2022 ratings. It's always a controversy because the people who do the ratings for Madden apparently don't actually watch football.
It's very clear.
For the top 10 wide receiver rankings as Madden, they are as follows. Devontae Adams at 1, then DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. The top 4, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I can rock with that.
Yeah.
Then we got Julio Jones at 5, Michael Thomas at 6. Last I checked, neither one of them finished the season. It's supposed to be based off of last year. Keenan Allen at 7, Amari Cooper at 8. Like, didn't he play with no quarterback for almost the whole season? Like, he didn't place top 10 in any statistical category last year, but he's in the top 10 in Madden. Yeah. We got Mike Evans at 9 and Allen Robinson rounding out the 10. So I'm going to just let you just go ahead and just take this away. I won't even ask you, did they get it right? Because we all know the answer is no. What would you change?
All right, so top 4, no problem. Devontae Adams, best route runner, 18 touchdowns. I mean, there's not too much we can say about him. Great separation. We know what Devontae Adams does. Same with you, Devontae Adams, number 1. Go with that?
I still got him on 1.
All right, so DeAndre Hopkins, I agree with, number 2. Devontae Adams really takes the 1 spot. You know, great route running, great hands, 18 touchdowns. You can't compete with that. DeAndre Hopkins, 2, I agree with. You know, can make any catch. Best hands in the NFL, I think. Huge catch radius. He'll go up and grab anything. And we know who Diop is. You know, there's no great explanation we need for him. Tyreek Hill, number 3.
I feel you there, but I got Stephon Diggs at 2.
Ooh.
We're basing this off of last season.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Stephon Diggs is better than D-Hop. What I'm saying is Stephon Diggs led the league in receiving yards last year. He led the league in receptions last year, and he was right there around 13 or 14, 1 touchdown out of being tied for 10th in touchdowns.
Yep.
His numbers support it. So, I mean, D-Hop is even below him. He only had caught like 6 touchdowns last year, and he's below him in yards, below him in receptions. How is he above him if we're just rating from last year?
Yep.
These aren't career accomplishment rankings.
Right.
That's not what Madden is doing.
Right.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Right. I feel you. All right, so number 2 is Stephon Diggs. Now, number 3, I got Tyreek Hill. Fastest man in the league, of course. Can run any play, you know, biggest home run hitter in the NFL, biggest deep threat. You miss a tackle, he might score a touchdown. That's how it is with Tyreek Hill. We know who he is. Mahomes out there throwing to him. Great scheme in Kansas City. No problem with Tyreek at number 3. How do you feel?
At number 3, that's where I've got D-Hop.
D-Hop at 3?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And I see you, so you might be just knocking down one here. Okay, so number 4 is where Diggs fell for me. I think he's a top 3 route runner in the NFL. No question about that. Great yard after the catch. Huge separation when he gets out there. Can make a lot of plays. Great hands. I mean, all these top receivers have a lot in common. It's just, you know, barely separating, you know, what does each of them do? Maybe just a little different or better than the other receiver. I do have Stephon Diggs at number 4. And I feel like he's just an all-around receiver. Doesn't really have a weakness in his game. You know, where you put, well, you had Stephon at
I got him at 2.
Right, so he got a 4.
Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
We have the same top 4. We just reordered them.
Right, just flipped them a little bit. Okay, fair enough.
I agree with those.
Right, now here's where it gets a little interesting. So the Julio and Michael Thomas thing, you know, like you said, Julio really played more than Michael Thomas, but still missed some games. Michael Thomas didn't play a whole lot. Had a decent amount of yards for the, you know, time he did play with Kamara and Breeze on the field, but overall, the high ankle sprain lingered at him all year. And Julio, you know, kind of had some lingering injuries as well. But, you know, with the way Madden works, they do adjust every year. And I feel like Julio is taking his body seriously this offseason. New life with the Titans. And he knows next to A.J. Brown and a guy in Ryan Tannehill who has no problem putting the ball down the field, like Matt Ryan wouldn't have a problem putting the ball down the field either. Like, it's still pretty similar. I'm going to have Julio at number 5. I think he's going to be a fairly healthy receiver this year, and he could easily jump to number 1 in this list. I mean, we know who Julio is. Modern-day Megatron, huge size, great hands, can make any catch, great route runner. He is also, like Stephon Diggs, just much bigger and more physical in the game, so I am going to have Julio, crazy enough, at number 5 on this list.
I mean, Julio is absolutely good enough to be at number 5, but seeing as how these Madden rankings are supposed to be coming from what happened last season, it is extremely irresponsible to rank Julio that high. Did we forget about DK Metcalf?
Right.
He didn't even make the top 10. I got Metcalf at 5.
Thank you for the respect on my boy DK.
Metcalf was 7th in receiving yards, 9th in touchdowns. How is How is he not in the top 10 at all?
Right.
You've got Amari Cooper up there, but not DK Metcalf?
Right. And the thing with DK, here's what people look at. They look at about the 7% drop rate, which isn't great, but they also look at the fact that he's only been in the NFL for 2 years. But what people don't realize is, as a rookie, he led the NFL in red zone targets with Russell Wilson as his quarterback. That is huge. And he got the comps to Megatron. You know, he's close to the height. He's close to the weight. He's not going to be Megatron, but he's got huge size, elite speed, and he can make a lot of catches. But number 5 for DK for you.
Yeah, DK.
Okay, fair enough. Number 6, it kind of got tough falling down from here, but I feel Keenan Allen is a really slept-on receiver. I think he's neck and neck with Devontae Adams in terms of separation, in terms of route running. We know he's got great hands, and he can make a lot of huge catches as well. So I'm going to have Keenan Allen at number 6, and he comes back healthy this year. You know, he dealt with some stuff last year, and Justin Herbert, even being able to throw the 4,300 yards, imagine if you had a fully available Keenan Allen for 16, now 17 games. So I am going to have Keenan Allen at number 6, a very underrated wide receiver that really deserves a respect in this league.
Well, I mean, that's great for the what-if game, but we're actually talking about what he did last year, which he did not do a whole lot compared to the guys that are up here.
Yeah.
So I have 2 separate lists, which the top 5 are the same in both of them, which is why I just didn't really feel the need to mention it.
Right.
I have one that's just based off the numbers, and one adjusted for injured top-tier wide receivers coming back, which would be Julio and Michael Thomas.
Barring everyone's healthy kind of thing? Yeah.
Number 6, by the numbers, Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. Ooh. He
Calvin
got me
Ridley
there, ladies and
was
gentlemen.
6 in receiving yards.
Yeah, he
10th
was.
in receiving touchdowns.
Yep.
How is he not scraping the top 10 of this list?
Yep.
He basically played the season without Julio, and even while he was there, Calvin Ridley was out there eating.
Yeah.
His production did not tail off after Julio went out, and he was getting the number 1 defensive coverage. He's getting the double teams. He's still getting his numbers. He's still eating.
Yep.
You cannot disrespect Calvin Ridley like that.
100%.
The adjusted wide receiver tiers, my number 6 is Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. The man had a historic season for a rookie, but just period. I mean, the dude went for over 1,400 receiving yards.
Yep.
How are we just disrespecting Justin Jefferson like that?
Yep.
Is it because he's a rookie, his numbers don't count?
Right. I mean, this kid lit it up.
Some guys have bigger names because we've watched him more.
Right.
He did what he did.
Right.
Give him his props. Like, why can't he get his flowers? How many years does he have to do this for before you respect this man?
Right.
I mean, playing with Kirk Cousins.
Right. Broke all records. You know, it's funny breaking Randy Moss's records with the Vikings. Like, I mean, 1,400 yards as a rookie. That's absolutely huge. So I love the respect on Justin Jefferson at number 6.
No one else that we've named up to this point is playing with a subpar quarterback.
Right.
He put up these numbers with Kirk Cousins.
Right. Yep.
Imagine what he could do if he was playing with the quarterbacks that these guys are playing with. He's still doing it.
Allen.
Yep, and I see Jackson in there. Jackson Nocella says Tyler Lockett is criminally underrated. Stay tuned. I got him. He's on my list, so don't worry about it.
I thought about Tyler Lockett too. Wide receivers are low-key such a trap sometimes, though, because like when we say top 10s for positions, I think wide receivers and running back should be extended to like 15, 20, because there's just so much talent. I feel like once you get past about 15 or 20 with your wide receivers, you can kind of, he's clearly right. He's clearly not as good as the guys that are ahead of him. But either way, let's keep moving here. Number 7, another guy that had a great season, the model of consistency, 7 straight 1,000-yard plus seasons. I'm putting Mike Evans at number 7 on my list. He is a top deep threat in the league. Huge length, great hands. Again, will make any catch and can find the end zone as well. I know he was a little banged up with some injuries, but overall, he still put in the work. Still popped out a 1,000-yard season, and he continues to double down every single year and just get better at his craft. Jameis Winston, now Tom Brady. I mean, the guy's in it for good. I love Mike Evans, and I've got it at number 7 on this list.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. Mike Evans is a baller. I mean, his numbers weren't as good as what they had been, but that's simply because the team had so many weapons.
Right.
His production had to come down a bit.
Godwin,
not mad
AB,
at that,
Gronk.
but I don't have him there.
Right.
Numbers-wise, Allen Robinson at 7.
Nice. Allen
The
Robinson.
adjusted list, that's where Ridley pushed to 7, right behind Justin Jefferson. So that's where I've got at 7. So what are we looking like at number 8 for you?
Number 8 for me is going to be DK Metcalf.
Wow.
Major size advantage. It is low, but when you look at the guys that are above him, you can make a great argument for all of them. It is only DK's second year. If he didn't drop as much, I'd easily have him top 5, but the drop percentage does worry me. And all the guys above him do have better hands. That's why DK is at number 8. Major size advantage, elite speed. Again, a major home run hitter. I mean, he can make you pay. He's huge. He's almost like a version of a bigger Tyreek Hill, maybe a Julio Jones, however you want to put it. He's got great size, great hands, and I mean, we know who DK is. He's came onto the scene fast. How about number 8 for you, though?
Number 8 by the numbers, Tyler Lockett.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler had a really good year last year. I mean, the man, he was 8th in touchdowns, 8th in receptions. He had a balling year next to DK.
Yep.
Both of them jumped up this list in the top 10 in multiple categories on the same team.
Right.
Like, you can't scoff at them.
Right.
Like, I definitely had them coming. That's why I was like, hold on, like, oh, just bear with me. I'm going to get a man some love.
All right, we got you.
8 on the adjusted list, that's where I've got Julio. Having not played a full season, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He did ball out while he played. He didn't play enough to be ranked as high as what he's ranked. So I'll give him 8th. That's the best I can do for him.
Yep. Got you, man. Number 9 is going to be Allen Robinson for me. We know he's been a major producer since he's been in the NFL, had multiple bad quarterbacks throwing to him. A lot of people forget Allen Robinson spent a little bit of time with the Jaguars before coming to the Bears, had a 1,400-yard receiving season over there, if I'm not mistaken, between 12 and 14. I might be a little off there, but he had a balling season in Jacksonville. And when you look at Allen Robinson's core numbers, one point in his career in one season, he had the 3rd most uncatchable passes thrown his way, and the dude was still reeling in top 10 in yards, catches, touchdowns. Like, Allen Robinson will easily break any receiver's ankles. He's a top route runner in the league, and he can go for a deep threat as well. So I do have Allen Robinson at number 9, and I'm so excited to see him and Justin Fields hit it off this year. I think it's going to be a great combination for us to see. Number 9 for you, Peace.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. Number 9, by the numbers, I've got Justin Jefferson. Number 9, adjusted, I've also got Allen Robinson.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, I mean, we do agree on a few.
Right. We got a lot of good guys in here. Now on to number 10. I wanted to put him higher, but as being a rookie, it's going to give it away. You know, now going into the sophomore year, Justin Jefferson, super twitchy routes, amazing releases. Love the way he plays the game. And he kind of looks small when he's on the field and when you see him on TV. But he plays with a lot of heart, a lot of ambition. And when you see how he can truly break these receivers as a rookie, he's already causing hell in the league. And then you've got Thielen over there. You know, if only Kyle Rudolph was still there with a little more of a healthy state, would the Vikings be in a good position? But nonetheless, Justin Jefferson is a great guy for them, so I do have him falling at 10 on this list.
Okay, not mad at that at all. At number 10, I've got Mike Evans on both lists. I definitely got to give him some love. He did put up numbers, but his numbers land him right at the 10 spot. And even with the adjusted, still got him at the 10 spot. Michael Thomas cannot be in the top 10.
I just can't.
For either. He's not going to be ready to go starting this season.
Right.
He was hobbled all of last season.
Exactly.
It's like, I just don't understand. Like, what, are we giving him love for the year before last?
Right.
That's not what these rankings are supposed to be.
Yep. And you know, like, when you look at all the other guys on this list, like, I love Michael Thomas, don't get me wrong, but he's not a deep threat. He's not going to give you 25, 30 yards. That's just not him. And maybe he turns into that with Taysom or Jameis, whoever it might be. Maybe they can extend his game. But that's not him right now, and I don't think Madden should bank on him to just immediately become this middle to deep field receiver. No, that's not Michael Thomas at all.
At all. So, man, we've reached the top of the hour.
Yes, we have.
Make sure y'all tune in. Y'all like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yes.
Make sure you let everybody know. Petty Sports, it's where you want to be. Every Tuesday and Wednesday alternating. Next week, we'll be back on Tuesday night.
And I'll be here. You can't forget about me.
Yes, sir. You can catch us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, the Google Podcasts, Spotify, Simple Radio, TikTok. The YouTube page is off the chain.
Yes, it is.
Just like we've been telling y'all, we got all kind of videos going out on YouTube. We putting 3-4 of them out per day. If you holler at me on there, I'll respond to you.
Right.
We'll chop it up.
Right. Fees is in the comments. I'm on the thumbnails.
We on Facebook, IG, Twitter, everywhere you do your social media. That's where you can find us. So make sure you tune in and tell everybody this is the hottest sports talk radio show in the land, Petty Sports, the podcast. So now without further ado, it's hour number 2. You are now listening to Petty Sports, the podcast, brought to you by Kings Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, Famous Facts Fees. I'm right here live with my man Adam. Holla at him.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? That was a great first hour of the show. Got some more player comparisons coming up. Like Fees mentioned earlier, finishing out the NFL 2021 predictions. Man, it's been a great show. Appreciate the guy that called in. Guys, if you want to call into the show, I know you want to. You just get a little tentative. It's okay. 678-871-9602. Again, please check the link in every social media account in the bio. That's every bit of content we have. So there is officially no excuse. Again, like we've said, for you to not be able to find us. Fees, let's get an hour two, man.
Yes, sir. We're going to kick off our number 2 with a Giannis Antetokounmpo-inspired topic. No, we didn't talk about the finals because that was all the way last week.
Yep.
We know the Greek Freak got his first championship. So now we just want to dive into where does that land him among the greatest power forwards of all time.
Yeah, man.
We've got 6 power forwards for you. You can see the graphic on the screen. Between Kevin Garnett, Karl Malone, Dirk Nowitzki, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Tim Duncan, and Charles Barkley. How do you rank these gentlemen?
We're just going to go down the list again? Just 1 through 6, I guess? You want to do that?
We can start at 6.
Okay.
Work our way up.
Build it up. So, okay. Don't give me any hate, guys. Number 6, I do have Charles Barkley, MVP, 11-time All-Star Game MVP, and I understand that he ran into a lot of tough times in his career. You know, bad boy Pistons, Elijah Wan's Rockets, the Robinson Duncan Spurs, Shakobi. The dude went through the gauntlet. Okay, his time, I know, guys. His time was absolutely tough, but again, at the end of the day, when you look at a lot of players on this list,
You name everybody but Jordan.
What do you mean with what?
But who he ran into.
Oh, yeah. And Jordan, excuse me, and Jordan, of course. Yeah, we know Jordan just kind of eliminated everybody out there. But yes, of course, running into Jordan as well. I mean, when you look at some of the other players that are on this list, they're fairly younger than him and played in an era to where every year you know the talent is improving. So I do have Charles Barkley, Chuck, at number 6 on this list. I know, crazy, but that's where I got him.
Oh, I mean, it's not as crazy as what I'm about to give you.
Oh, God.
And number 6 on my list.
Uh-huh.
It's by default and disqualification, Tim Duncan.
What?
He's not a power forward. That's why I've disqualified Tim Duncan. That man is a center. He played 14 of his 19 years as a center.
Uh-huh.
His first 5 years, he came into the league with David Robinson, so they put him in as a power forward, and then he was labeled a power forward for his entire 19 years. He played the remaining 14 years as a center. He played 4 years at Wake Forest as a center. He's not a power forward.
You don't mean this. We shouldn't have done this debate if you just put
not
Tim
a power
Duncan.
forward.
If you just, oh my God, you just put Tim Duncan at number 6.
No, I disqualified Tim Duncan, so that's why he goes at the bottom. I'm not saying that these 5 guys are better than Tim Duncan. What I'm saying is Tim Duncan is a power. He's a center.
Got it. So if we were comparing
That's
centers,
why.
he'd be number 1, though, right?
How the hell would he be number 1 if we're comparing centers? If you put him where he's supposed to be, now you're comparing him to Kareem and Shaq and Elijah Wan and Wilt and Russell. It's a lot different.
Yep.
You move him over a position, and all of a sudden, nobody can compare to him.
Well, this just went left.
His ring count. I mean, his ring count alone eliminates everybody if you're going to count him as a power forward, but he's not a power forward.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, what? 19 years in the NBA, 4 years in college. That's 23 seasons played, 18 of them as a center.
Yeah.
But he's the greatest power forward of all time. He's not a damn power forward.
Why did they do that to him?
I need this madness to stop.
Yeah, because now I know that there are multiples around the world wagering the same thing. Oh, how can we fit him in? Oh, now you're going to compare him to centers. Oh, well, he's a number 5 or 6, or whatever it may be. Because you're comparing him to all the greats. So, God, man, fair enough. I mean, you explained yourself, but we should have just taken him out. We should have just taken him out. I mean, God, wow.
Hey, I mean, I'm sure there's people upset with it. Hey, argue if you want to.
Yep.
That is not that man's position.
Yep.
So who you got at number 5?
Number 5, crazy enough, man, and he kind of had the similar situation with Chuck, ran into a lot of teams in his career. You know, Clyde Drexler's Portland Trailblazers. You had him running into Elijah Wan's Rockets. I mean, you had him running into a lot of people, and I hate to put it this low, but it is going to be Karl Malone. Great mid-range game. Don't get me wrong. An amazing big man. Love what he did for the Jazz. I'm a fan of Karl Malone. I truly like the way he played the game. Very old school guy, and you have a lot of players today, you hear them mentioning him, complimenting his play style. Extremely fundamental. But when you're talking about, because there's a lot of greats on this list, when you're talking about the entirety of the accolades and rather how fast they did it with their surroundings, again, I know Malone and I know Chuck went through the freaking gauntlet. MJ as well, you know, with Karl Malone. MJ got both of them, you know, bad boy Pistons for Chuck, whatever the case may be. But we have great talent every year. There's always a few teams in the NBA that you feel like can run, but then again, you do know there is that one team that's going to get there. That's where Chuck and Malone kind of had a problem every year. So I do have Karl Malone at number 5 on this list.
Damn, that's tough. I've got Giannis at number 5. He doesn't have enough time in. I couldn't argue with you saying that he's better than Karl Malone already. Right. Definitely at this point in his career. Being he's got a championship and Karl never got one of those.
Right.
But as it stands, with only 8 years played, he's got the 1 title. He's got 2 MVPs. Karl Malone also got 2 MVPs.
Yep.
Karl Malone got 2 MVPs while Mike was winning all the MVPs. So, I mean, that's really something to be said about him being able to actually have those on his resume, considering the time that he actually played.
Right. Karl Malone, 25-10 guy, too.
Number 2 on the all-time list. Yeah, definitely. He's 25-10. He's a 74% free throw shooter, which I know it's odd for you to start quoting free throw shooting, but
for big men, though,
when it goes for these guys, free throw shooting actually is a thing. If for nothing else, that's how people stop you. They're like, just foul him.
Unless
if you can just foul him, he ain't gonna make them. I mean, subsequently, the worst free throw shooter on the list was Tim Duncan, but I eliminated him anyway. I ain't trying to just keep dumping on him like that. But I got Giannis at number 5. He is right above Duncan. Duncan's a 69.6% free throw shooter. Giannis is a 71. If you're listening and you're like, oh, he's saying that he's down there just because of free throw shooting, that's absolutely not what I said. Giannis has the potential to make his way all the way to the top of this list with the amount of time that he has left to play in this league. Just as it stands, I can't take him above any of them. If I counted Tim Duncan as a power forward, clearly he would be number 1 and Giannis would be at the bottom of my list. But Tim Duncan doesn't count, so Giannis made 5.
All right.
So you got a number 4.
Number 4 is going to be Dirk Nowitzki. It got really chippy in the top 4, but here's why. So it did take Dirk about 12, 13, 14 years to get his first title, but I mean, he did great. Beat LeBron in the Heat. You know, what, 5 or 6 games, like, pretty convincing win. You know, finals MVP. He's got an MVP under his belt, 1 ring, 14-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA first, 50, 40, 90 club, you know, in one of his seasons. So, like, we know Dirk is one of the best, 7-foot shooters. I mean, think about the fade. Think about
finals twice.
Right, exactly. Think about the fade. Think about the way he was able to actually play in the post game close to the basket. And then he could also hit you with the little handles and pull up on you. Like 40% from the 3-point line in Dirk's era is huge, especially for a big man. You had guards and forwards not even being able to shoot at 40. And Dirk is 7 foot. You can't block his shot. And he's putting them up out there, you know? And like I said, he's compared to a lot of greats on this list who have had an accelerated career, who have more accolades. I'm not taking away from Dirk. You could still put him and Durant up there as the best 7-foot shooters of all time. Might be forgetting 1 or 2. Don't come for my neck, but I know we're talking about generals here.
Off the top of the head, I would say that's probably accurate.
Right. I know there's like, oh, what about this guy? Oh, I'm sorry, bro. My bad. You know, I'm on air. But either way.
Rasheed Wallace, he's not a better shooter than them.
Exactly.
He's definitely worth mentioning.
I'm going to have that one guy out there. No, I'm just kidding. But no, man, definitely got Dirk at number. And I miss seeing Dirk play. You know, I remember when he went through the playoff challenge, shaved the beard, I think after they won or something like that. So love Dirk. Got him at number 4.
Okay, number 4, that's where I have Karl Malone.
Okay.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
He had a great career.
Great mid-range shooter. A big guy.
Played in 19 years, made 14 All-Star games, 14-time All-NBA. I mean, really, I have him lower on the list because we actually have to start splitting hairs. He didn't really play defense.
Right.
I mean, he give you 25 and 10, but he's not stopping anyone.
Right.
As big as he was not playing defense like that. And I mean, that was when the game was slowed down in the post. So, I mean, someone with his size, he could have very well easily been a lockdown defender.
Right.
The league wasn't as up and down and spread out as what it is now. He did manage to get 2 MVPs. So, I mean, I definitely got to show him love for that. But he made it to the finals twice, lost both times, and absolutely could have won. I mean, he was extremely careless with the ball, and that's what led to the 98 Jordan with his hand up pose that everyone remembers in infamy about that game. But what you don't see, I mean, sometimes they do show the full highlight from when Jordan went behind him and stripped him before he went down to make the shot. A dude as strong as Karl Malone and someone of his prowess as far as where we rate NBA players in history should have had the awareness to, 1, have actually seen him, and 2, been strong enough with the ball where he couldn't have gotten stripped like that.
Right.
And that would not have happened. I mean, that could have changed a whole lot of things. If he had a championship on his resume over the Chicago Bulls in the last part of their three-peat, we might be speaking differently on him.
Yep.
But he absolutely, I mean, you can't say he's fully to blame, but a lot of that's his fault.
Right.
He could have made the difference.
Yeah.
So I've got him at number 4.
Easily, man. All right, on to number 3. This is where I'm going to place the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, at the age of 26.
Okay.
This is the man's resume in just 8 seasons. And we know what Giannis has done. 1 ring this year, 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved Player, and is actually the only MIP to ever win the MVP. So you got to love that from him. Finals MVP, 5-time All-Star, All-Star Game MVP when he had the perfect game, 3-time First-Team All-NBA, 3-time Defensive First-Team All-NBA, 2 of the highest PER ratings we've ever seen in his back-to-back MVP seasons. Those made him one of the most efficient players of all time in that season when he did take home that hardware. But also, here's another thing. When you look at how quick and accelerated his career has been, he has more MVPs and rings than MJ did by his 27th birthday. And also with LeBron, MJ had 1 MVP, no rings, the same amount of MVPs and more rings than LeBron did by his 27th birthday, 2 MVPs, no rings yet. Giannis has 2 MVPs, a ring, a Defensive Player of the Year, and a Finals MVP, and he's made All-NBA First Team with the defensive as well. You guys heard me put the resume out there. We know who Giannis is, and in his first NBA Finals, 35, 13, and 5. The first time the man ever gets the spotlight. Hits his free throws in a big game. 50-point closeout. Best rim player in the NBA. Has been for the past couple seasons. Don't be surprised if he's in the MVP running next year. Giannis is here to stay, man. I got Giannis at number 3 absolutely on this all-time list.
Okay, I mean, I think he absolutely will climb this list without question.
Right.
But as it stands, I can't
could
think
easily
of
end
that
his
high
run.
yet.
Right.
At 3, I've got Dirk.
No, dude.
21 seasons played, 1 championship, went to 2, definitely was the man on both those teams, carried him there, 1 league MVP, 14-time All-Star, he's been All-NBA 12 times, averaged 20 points, 7.5 rebounds, was a 88% free throw shooter.
That is huge.
I mean, Dirk was big money.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll all go on record to acknowledge that he is one of the only guys to win an NBA Finals without any other All-Stars.
Yeah.
He did have other good players on the team.
Right.
Let's not get it twisted like Jason Kidd and Sean Marion and Jason Terry and all those guys weren't on that team.
Right.
He did have some straight-up ballers on his squad.
Yeah.
But they were not All-Stars. Lots of them, I mean, Jason Kidd was definitely past his prime. He was a role player, but he did his job.
Right.
But this was a Dirk championship, not to mention he got his title over the Heatles.
Yeah.
That was year 1
Yeah.
of the LeBron James Miami Heat experiment where they said not 1, not 2, all
7.
the way up to 7.
Yeah.
That was LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh with the Miami Project. Dirk shut him down. And before he did that, they swept the defending 2-time NBA champion Lakers on their way to beating the Heat.
Yep. That was a historical season. And a lot of people that, oh my God, the Heat were clearly the better team. Why'd they lose? Really, people were making so many excuses because LeBron was here. First final since, he was with Cleveland. This was LeBron's moment. He's here. 2011, LeBron, here you go. And he wasn't able to pull it out. And people were so irritated. It's dude, it's okay. LeBron is a what? I'm totally drunk. Four-time champion? Four-time champion. Or yeah, LeBron is a four-time champion.
Four.
Come on, guys. Like, we understand getting the one was kind of tough. The dude went to 10 straight NBA finals. It's okay that he was popped out after his first one. It is totally fine.
Oh, yeah.
Totally fine.
Who you got it to?
Number 2, man, this was so tough for me at number 2. But the reason I put Kevin Garnett at number 2 above Giannis, or excuse me, the reason I put Kevin Garnett at 2 rather overall on this list, because he's regarded as maybe one of the best defensive players of, not even maybe, he is regarded as one of the best defensive players of all time in the NBA. And I wanted to put Dirk at number 2, but I feel like Dirk and KG are equally as comparable when it comes to versatility, being at the rim, making their own shot. You know, Dirk had the fade over KG, but I mean, KG could still hit you with the handles, pull the mid-range, like work inside. But Dirk was not nearly as great of a player as KG was on the defensive end. You know, defensive player of the year, 9-time all NBA first defensive team, over 10 times as an all-star. I want to say like 15-time all-star.
15.
There you go. 15-time all-star. And, you know, overall, I mean, KG really kind of revolutionized the big man game in a way. Like, you saw him, big men at that time really didn't, you know, run the break like he could or be able to see the floor like he did and be that lanky, but also be as effective in his time, like I said, around the post when he was, you know, he could create his own shot, which is what really made him so special in today's game. And, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at the power forward that Kevin Garnett actually was, you can't deny that he has to sit here on this list. Maybe a tad bit lower, but I mean, KG's an all-timer, and we know that. So I love having KG here at number 2 on the list.
Okay, at number 2, I've got Charles Barkley, the round mound.
Ooh.
16 years played, 15 All-Star games, 1 MVP, did drag the Phoenix Suns to 1 NBA Finals appearance and lost to the Bulls. Granted, he did have a nice little squad with him. We won't act like he didn't play with Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley and the crew. So he did have some ballers with him, but he was absolutely the man on that squad. He won the MVP that year. He was 11 times All-NBA, 22-11, 4-time rebound champion in the league. I mean, there's not a lot of bad things that you can say about Chuck. I mean, the dude played crazy. He was very undersized for a power forward.
Right, and he was able to be quicker and a little stronger than some of these guys, you know? I mean, being able to push up on these dudes.
Yes, I mean, he was there. I don't have any bad things to say. I mean, I got the man ranked all the way up at number 2. So, man, let's get to the meat of this thing. Number 1, power forward, all-time, Adam.
Well, I mean, I haven't named him yet, and I know you disqualified him, but it is Tim Duncan at number 1. 5-time NBA champion, 3-time Finals MVP, 2-time MVP, 15-time All-Star. We know who Tim Duncan is. Great leader, great mentor. I love, you know, right when I first started What Offseason, the show that I was on before I came to Petty Sports, my very first episode was talking about Tim Duncan being an assistant coach, being that board man, being that mentor, and being able to be so effective off the glass overall, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, shooting off the glass, using the board to his advantage. Like, Tim Duncan really came to be an excellent bank shooter, and he employed that into his game. He could still shoot the shot a little later on when he had, you know, a couple of the finals run-ins with LeBron. You know, like, we saw that Tim Duncan was still able to perform in those times. 5-time champion, you can't knock him off. And like you said at the beginning, if we're including Tim Duncan in the power forwards, there's no question that he's number 1. But the fact that he played over 70% of his career basically at center, I do totally understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah, just can't give it to him. So against every fiber of my life as a Laker, I have to give the number 1 power forward spot all time to Kevin Garnett. I can't stand him. Kevin Garnett is a baller. 2 finals appearances, 1 title, 1 league MVP, 4-time rebounding champion. As you mentioned, 9-time first team all defense, which is an NBA record.
Yep.
He's tied with 3 other guys who were also legends. You might know them. Kobe, MJ, Gary Payton. They're the only other guys who have 9 first team all NBA defense appearances. He was the 5th pick overall in the draft, straight out of high school.
Yep.
Saw nobody's college. Had the lethal mid-range shot. Had the handles, the post game, could defend. There really was nothing that Kevin Garnett could not do with all of that size, and was one of the meanest, grittiest players that you've ever seen. I mean, Kevin Garnett is easily the best actual power forward of all time.
Yeah, I can't compete with that, man. I mean, honestly, like when I know he falls short a little bit, and maybe accolades over, but
he's 79% from the free throw line, so you couldn't foul him to get him off his game.
Exactly. The fact that he was able to be such an effective defender as a big man, like literally people put him up there with all-time defenders, and it's totally worth it. Like you said, record with being an all-time defender, 9-time All-NBA first defensive team, defensive player of the year. And the fact that he was able to play so well in his first year in Boston to bring them to the title, you got to love it. Coming over from Minnesota, paying a little homage at the end of the career. So I miss KG, man. I personally loved seeing him on the court. So I have no problem with him being at number one on your list.
And he's got a defensive player of the year.
Exactly.
To mention that.
Exactly, which some of these guys on this list don't. He is one of the few that, and that really
Only
does, like
him
I said.
and Giannis have that.
Exactly. And when you think about how he can really create a shot for a big guy, and if Dirk wasn't compared to KG a liability on defense, you could argue for Dirk at number one. But Dirk, and it's not even that Dirk was a bad defender, he just wasn't Kevin Garnett, and they played in the same era. So you got to give it to KG. You got to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Awesome segment. Y'all weigh in. Let us know what you think. I see a couple of comments in the chat room. I see Cher is a KG fan. I mean, she's a Celtics fan. I knew she was going to go KG, and it hurt me to say it. We got my man Jackson. He says, can we all agree Duncan at number one? No, because Duncan is not a center. So I can't agree with you that he's number one.
Ooh, okay, Dre. Don't get me wrong. Giannis is damn good. However, the funny thing is, if the Bucks had lost in the finals or the semifinals, Giannis wouldn't even be on that list. You and the sports media would have put Chris Paul on that list with point guards. Everyone is just following the winner. Okay, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, that's kind of a loose statement, because wouldn't we necessarily be talking about any champion if they're on the verge? Because here's the thing. We made a video about this too. Who is the finals bigger for, Giannis or Chris Paul? It was easily Chris Paul, and he did not capitalize on his moment, which some people say his legacy was already set. I think it just adds to, damn, bro, you were up 2-0, and you basically got swept out of the finals. Appreciate the comment, Dre, but we're not loosely throwing him around here. Giannis was already on the verge, like I said, in his first 8 years, 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, multiple-time All-Star, multiple-time All-NBA Defensive First Team, a ring, a Finals MVP. I mean, come on, man. He should have been there a couple times before. Would you be saying the same thing potentially if the Bucks had been there at least just one more time before and Giannis had had another one? Then it would be a different story.
You could have said it on the flip side. If we were sitting here talking about Chris Paul as where he falls in all time on a point guard list, you'd be like, well, if he had lost, we'd be talking about Giannis.
Exactly.
You can do a million ifs.
Right.
If
Giannis
Dirk had
deserved
lost
his
to
spot.
LeBron, then we would be talking about LeBron in a whole different light, and Dirk might not be as high.
Right.
We're not going to play the if game. That's ridiculous.
Right.
I made it very clear from the beginning of the segment that we're talking about it because Giannis won his first championship. And now we see where he ranks all time as power forwards.
And think about this, Dre. Giannis didn't just come in and just win as the number one guy or whatever the case may be. No. 35, 13, and 5 in his first finals. A 50-point closeout game from a guy that does not have a jump shot. That's huge, dude. That means you are literally pulling up the hardwood with your bare hands and smacking people with it. That's how dominant Giannis was in the finals. 33, 34 points a game after going down 2-0 to the Nets, man. Giannis had an all-time performance, and he came off a scary injury. We got to move, man, but I could go all night about this.
In all honesty, even if you count Tim Duncan as a power forward, doesn't matter. If you rank these sixth, then Giannis is still going to be sixth all time, whether he's got that championship or not. Who are you actually pulling up? Like, I task you to give me a power forward that's not on this list that's actually better than him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a Giannis fan at all, but I can't just pull a random power forward up that actually stacks up to him.
Right.
No other power forward has carried his team anywhere outside of the guys that are on this list. Like, I hope we're not saying Sean Kemp is better than him.
Right. Nah, man. And I would even put Giannis potentially higher because, like I said, first 8 years, multiple-time MVP, most improved player, defensive player of the year. Like, you go through how his career literally accelerated in 3 to 4 years. And people don't realize how quick he made a name for himself. I mean, seriously, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. So we've reached 9:30. Show is rolling. We are just straight up running out of time and strap. We're going to throw this thing to Mike Beasley one more time before we come back We still got to get you to AFC West. I know some of y'all are just sitting there waiting on it. We ain't going to keep you waiting. Go ahead and tell them who pays these bills so we can come back and give them the real.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that famous facts feeds, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you also for tuning in tonight, watching Petty Sports Wednesday night edition, 8 o'clock every week, right here. All brought to you by Kings Broadcasting Studios. Thank you for sharing the show. Thanks for everybody that's engaging in the chat room, man. You know what I'm saying? 678-871-9602, 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. So don't hesitate. Pick up the phone. Get at us. You know, we've been covering, or the guys have been covering some really hot topics tonight. So chime in. Let us know what you think. And also go over and like, follow, share, subscribe to the different pages. Facebook, YouTube, that's Petty Sports with a Z. And also check out the shows, the previously aired shows on Apple, Google, Spotify, and iHeart. You know what I'm talking about? Go to kingsbroadcasting.com, spend some money. Support black business, support black business, support black businesses, because we do. Back to the regular scheduled program. ATL home.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate that, BZ. So check it out. Before we actually jump into the AFC West, gotta let you know what we got coming down the pipeline. ESPN Fantasy Football. Petty Sports is all the way on it. Y'all make sure y'all jump in. Petty Sports, we've already got it hooked up. Fantasy League. Y'all make sure you get in. 16-team league. There are currently 13 spots left if this thing will stop tripping. But y'all get on in there. We got the Fantasy League set. It's ready to go. Go on ESPN. Look up Petty Sports with a Z. It's an open group. It's a PPR league. Y'all hop in. Just jump on in there. See how you stack up. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to come on. We're going to actually rank fantasy players by position. So we're going to break that thing down for you, even if you don't really know what you're doing. I mean, a lot of fantasy sports is luck. So I mean, anyone who tells you otherwise is full of it.
Yep.
You can't always know who's going to have a balling season. You can do all the analysis. We can get you the most likely players. Jump in there. Have fun with it. The winner of the Petty Sports Fantasy Football League, you'll absolutely get some Petty Sports merch. We'll bring you on the show at the end of the season, let you gloat, talk your trash. I mean, you know, it'll probably be me anyway, but we'll bring you on. Just let you talk just say whatever you want to say. So, you know, make sure you jump on there, get in. We'll definitely share the link on all of our social media pages. So if you don't get on there right now, we'll make it available to you. So, I mean, that's what we got coming down the line. Fantasy football, Petty Sports style.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you put your team avatar in there. Get you a dope name. Make sure it's a good one. Otherwise, we're going to clown you when we give updates every week on how stupid your team name is. Make sure it's a good one. So, man, I know a lot of y'all have been waiting. Every week, we get one division. We've had a lot of folks diving in to the comments on the video releases as we talk about the expectations versus reality for every single team in the NFL. We are down to our last division. The Kansas City Chiefs lead off the AFC West. So without further ado, the Kansas City Chiefs, 14-2 last season, won the division, first place in the AFC, lost in the Super Bowl in a terrible game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are your expectations for the Kansas City Chiefs next season?
This team is no question looking to rebound from that absolute embarrassment that they had in the Super Bowl. I mean, Patrick Mahomes ran for almost 500 yards total scrambling, just running from JPP or Vita Vea or whoever it might have been coming after him. You know, Mahomes had a really tough time. No end zone trips, and overall, you know, they really struggled in that Super Bowl, which led them to another expectation here is that entire offensive line makeover that they went through. They're going to expect that to propel this to be a top line in the NFL. You look at Joe Tooney, you look at keeping Mike Remmers, you look at Laurent Duvernay coming back out of, you know, the COVID opt-out. So they got a lot of guys on that offensive line that are going to be there to contribute and protect Patrick. Then you look at another one here. CEH, I think, needs to take that extra step. I think the fans are expecting him to take that extra step. Now, I did have 1,100 yards as a running back. I want to say here, I actually have it here, 5 total touchdowns last season. So you do want him to be more effective in that game. But overall, CEH, I mean, he had the big game, you know, against the Texans leading the season. and a lot of people enjoyed seeing that, but they just want him to build on that more. And, Darrell Williams isn't getting a lot of the carries, but CEH, with how the Chiefs are wanting to be so potent, because they know now, like, Tampa Bay's here. Green Bay potentially could be here. Bills are here. Patriots could sneak in. Chargers could sneak in. Like, you got to be on it. So let's make it happen. Then the last expectation is the defense to step it up. I think this defense has too much talent overall on the team to be falling where they are. I mean, we've seen them 2018, 2019, 2020. It's kind of like an up, down, up, maybe back down. And you saw in the Super Bowl, the pass rush was tough for them, but the defense wasn't necessarily there either. Now we go to the reality. This is going to be, oddly enough, the schedule can swing kind of either way. This could be at the bare minimum a 10-win double-digit team, all the way up to potentially 16-1, 17-0 team. I mean, they have the firepower to come in here and go undefeated. They won't. They absolutely won't. But if they did, I would not be surprised. Now let's talk about some reality here. I think they rebound to the AFC title game. No question about that. I'm not going to assume that they're going to be in the Super Bowl, because we do have a Buffalo around, and I think they could represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year, and maybe even another potential 3-4 teams in there that could be with them in the AFC title game. Now we look at how Kansas City did finish the season as the 11th best O-line, and then coming into the year, I want to say PFF has them here at not sure. I didn't put it down here in the notes. I thought I did. But PFF are actually 6th best last year. They were in sacks per game last season. So you know that they just wanted to get better. And when you look at how they brought in so many players on that offensive line, they want to protect Mahomes. They have to. They saw what happened in the Super Bowl. That's the number one way to exploit them. And yes, hurt linemen. We totally understand about that, but they still needed to rebuild. And then again, CEH, he felt like, a little bit of a disappointment last year, but again, still 1,100 yards, still 5 touchdowns, and this Chiefs offense is going to be surging. They're going to want Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be able to come up and really make a pop for this team. You don't want to have to depend all on Mahomes, because we kind of saw that. In a couple, or in the AFC title game against the Patriots, where it kind of ran out a little bit. Yeah, people want to say, it might have been a jump. No. There was a lot more than that. And we've seen it where you can't have Mahomes potentially throwing 45, 50 times a game. The kid's still young. Preserve him a little bit. So I do have them winning the division. I'd say realistically about a 13, 14-win team in the NFL for 2021.
Okay, not mad at that at all. I mean, the expectations for the Kansas City Chiefs with the additions of Joe Thuney, Kyle Long, they've got Laurent Duvernay back from the opt-out.
Orlando Brown.
I mean, they're definitely expecting a 15-2 type season.
Right. Great
protection for the pass. They're expecting to win divisions, expecting to be first in the AFC again. They're expecting to be dancing in L.A. this year. It's Super Bowl or bust for the Chiefs.
Ooh.
They're expecting a 4th consecutive AFC championship appearance.
Yep.
I mean, they've gone the 3 past years. They're expecting to go right back. I mean, there's no reason to believe that they shouldn't be. The reality, they're still the best team in the AFC as it stands. So, I mean, there's no reason for them not to have extremely high expectations, and they should make it back to the AFC championship game. So we look at who Kansas City is actually facing off against this year. They play the NFC East. You got Dallas, Washington, the Giants, and the Eagles. None of those teams really pose a threat to the Chiefs. They're 4-0 against the NFC East. Granted, the NFC East will be a little better this year. Still not good enough for the Chiefs.
Right.
They're beating all of those teams.
Right.
They got the AFC North, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. I've got them going 3-1 against the AFC North.
Fair enough.
The one loss will actually be week 1 against Cleveland.
You think so?
It's a grudge match, revenge game.
Yeah.
Cleveland is way more emotional and amped about this game because of the way they lost in the divisional round to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs aren't really concerned about Cleveland like that. And though the Chiefs actually do have a better team, not quite maybe on paper, but they are the better, more seasoned team. They're better coached. They have a better quarterback. So, I mean, those two things together can definitely make you the better team, even if the other team has all the roster pieces in place. I think Cleveland will play an inspired game week 1 and actually take out Kansas City. So that'll be 1 loss out of 8 games now between them playing 2 divisions. There are 3 games they play because of winning the division last year. They've got the Buffalo Bills, the Tennessee Titans, and the Green Bay Packers. I've got them going 1-2 in those games. I think they will lose to Buffalo for the same reason why they're going to lose for Cleveland, because Buffalo also has a lot to prove, and the regular season matchup means nothing in the grand scheme. But to the teams that lost to them in the playoffs, they are extremely emotional and ready for those games. I think Green Bay will beat them just because of the pressure that's placed on Aaron Rodgers, what it is that this season means to Green Bay. Aaron needs this win. They bring in some weapons for him. Their defense plays a little bit better. I think Aaron will step up to this challenge because this is going to be a major marquee game this season. I think Green Bay will take them, and they'll beat Tennessee. In division, they've got Vegas, the Chargers, and the Broncos. I think they sweep the Chargers, they sweep the Broncos, and just like every year, for some reason that really just makes no sense, they will split games with Las Vegas. They lose a game to the Raiders every year, and we never understand quite exactly how that happens.
Right.
It's kind of similar to how the Dolphins beat the Patriots every year, even as they were winning Super Bowls. The Raiders have something like that over the Chiefs. So I got them 5-1 in division, 13-4 record for this season. They win the division. Again, nothing new.
Absolutely not. We know what the Chiefs are.
Oh, yeah. So now moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders. 8-8 last season, missed the playoffs. What are your expectations and the reality?
Absolutely, man. So expectations for this Raiders team is John Gruden is probably going to be on the hot seat this year. I think he already is going into the season, and we've seen, the Raiders fans kind of feel like there's some drafts that Gruden could have missed out on or maybe not picked the best player overall for the team, and we absolutely understand that because, even with the Henry Ruggs pick, some people were kind of thinking, was this the best pick or was it just the shiniest toy, the fastest receiver that maybe could have been the biggest home run hitter for you as, this draft moved on? Then you look at another expectation here. They bring in Kenyon Drake to help out Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs isn't a major, he's not a big running back. 5'10", think about 215, 220 overall for his size. But you saw him in a way kind of suffer on those later downs and in the red zone. Yes, he can perform in there. So before you jump up in the comments and saying, oh, you're not doing your research, I know Jacobs can run the ball. Yes, I know Jacobs can run the ball as well. But bringing in Kenyon Drake, there was a reason for that. They need to have an additional pair of legs. You look at Alec Ingold as well. Could be that additional pair of legs to take that pressure off Jacobs to where when you really need him to be that downhill runner that he's come to be, he's able to be that for the Las Vegas Raiders. And then you look at the defense. I think will continue to be ugly for this team. We've seen it season in, season out. They just don't have what it takes on the defensive side of the football to hang with some of these big teams, to steal a win, to maybe steal a playoff win, or to steal a win for a playoff implication, to move up in the division. The Raiders have been falling short in that aspect, and a lot of it has to do with that defense. Now we take a look at their reality. I think this is a 6-11 football team. I hate to put them so low, but when you look at the competition, when you look at they're not loaded with a lot of power on that defensive side of the ball. We see offensive teams all the time. Chargers got a lot of offensive talent. Falcons got a lot of offensive talent. Doesn't mean they're going to win a lot of games. The Raiders are in that same aspect there. Then you also look at the fact that we're looking at the reality now. I think Gruden does look to be on the hot seat in the earlier times. You look at the way that their season opens. Ravens, Steelers, Dolphins, Bears, and Chargers. I think due to the schedule, the impatience, and overall the tenacity of the fans, I'd say maybe John Gruden's on the hot seat by week 8, week 9. Maybe week 7. These Raiders fans are ready, man. They want, and Leatherwood felt like a reach. And that was just kind of another little nick onto his resume. Then we're moving on to the running back room. Again, I think Josh Jacobs is going to take another step up. Kenyon Drake is going to, again, be that running back too for him to where they can split those carries. Maybe you have a couple of 900 backs or 900-yard backs, potentially in the NFL. Not everybody's able to have a Derrick Henry or, an extreme rushing attack, but the Raiders will be able to have some fresh legs in that running back room. And then you also look at the fact that this offense will, again, have enough firepower to be able to compete with some of these teams. But again, it is that defense. And I know I've mentioned defense a lot in this team, but fans, Raiders fans, when you're watching this year, You're going to share the frustration with me because I know how talented your team can be. I know Derek Carr and Ruggs and Darren Waller. Darren Waller is going to be a top tight end in the league. He's going to perform in fantasy. We have no questions about that. But when we're looking at the defense, when you're looking at a Herbert dealing with, when you're looking at a Patrick Mahomes that you have to deal with, all the weapons on those teams, this is going to be about a 6, maybe 7 win team in 2021.
Damn, that's tough.
Yeah, dude.
6-7 win team. I mean, that definitely could call for John Gruden's head.
Yeah.
I think the expectations for I was about to call him Oakland. Always. I can't get it out of my head. The Las Vegas Raiders want John Gruden to earn his contract. The 10-year, $100 million deal was extremely ridiculous. They're expecting championships. They're not even making the playoffs. They're expecting that two-headed Bama rushing attack to really make some noise with Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. They're expecting another breakout season out of tight end Darren Waller. They're also they're expecting a 10-7 type season. They want to get second place in the division with a wild card. I don't think they're expecting to actually overtake Kansas City. They can't possibly be that unrealistic. But I think they really are expecting second place. The reality, they've been making questionable roster moves ever since Gruden has gotten there. And I mean, it's just been an extreme lack of consistency. They lost a lot of close games last season to end up at 8-8. Their consistency is just, it's a problem. As you said, Gruden will definitely be in the hot seat after this season. But just look at the gauntlet that they run through this year. They got the NFC East. They got Dallas, Washington, the Giants, and the Eagles. I think they go 2-2 in those games. Think they'll beat Dallas and they'll beat Philly just because of where they play them and when they play them. Against the AFC North, I think they'll also go 2-2. I like them over Pittsburgh, and I also like them to, again, upset Cleveland because they did beat Cleveland last year. They shut them down, beat them 16-6. It was a little strange.
Yeah.
But some teams, the Raiders aren't a bad football team. They don't always show up.
All right. Very inconsistent.
Because of them finishing second in the division last year, they got the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bears. I think they'll go 1-2 in those games. I think they'll beat Miami. They'll lose to the Colts, and they'll lose to the Bears. Then in division, I've got them splitting with all 3 teams. I already told you, I think they'll get that one anomaly game that they get every year over Kansas City. They'll split with the Chargers, and they'll split with the Denver Broncos team that is really out of a much better roster than what they have actually been escorting out on the field for the past couple of years. So I've got the Vegas Raiders at 8-9. Same amount of wins. This time they'll be under 500. John Gruden's job will definitely be in question by the end of the season.
No question about that.
So now the third place, L.A. Chargers, 7-9 last season, missed the playoffs behind rookie quarterback Justin Herbert's campaign. What are your expectations versus the reality?
This team is expecting Justin Herbert, no question, to lead them to a playoff run. We saw his rookie campaign, 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 picks, 98.3 passer rating. And all your veterans and key players on both sides of the football are going to come back. New coach in there, so you don't have any more Anthony Lynn. And life overall seems a lot better. Asante Samuel Jr. as well might be the biggest steal of the NFL draft next to Justin Fields. And pairing him with Bosa, Joseph, Murray will bring really a circle of elite caliber players to this team that the Chargers need to be able to have a sustainable defense in a AFC West that has a lot of firepower. And then they want to continue to be that really tough team game in, game out. Yes, they might go down to the wire and lose against you, but they're giving you a run for your money the whole time. They're making you sweat it out. And I said it last year, the Chargers were the best team with the worst record. Now we look at the reality for this team coming up. Crazy enough, I do have this team going 11-6, 9-7, or excuse me, 9-8 at the least as a floor. You look at Justin Herbert, I think he does elevate this game if we're talking about a realistic part of this team, being able to be even more effective, better vision, better arm angle. Bengals and just better coaching. Yes, he is going to be with a new coach, but I feel like Justin Herbert already had it up here when he came into the league. He didn't need a whole lot of immense development. I mean, when you get a 5-minute notice that you're going to go play the Super Bowl champion, then Drew Brees, then then Brady, then Drew Brees, and you're going to play all of them extremely well, that's got to give you confidence up front to know that you can lead this team to great heights. They got Rashawn Slater in there as well, so you know he's going to be able to protect him because they want Herbert to be comfortable early on. You don't want another Burrow or potentially a Kyler Murray or, a Russell Wilson. We don't want to see that from a young guy in Justin Herbert. And then I think the defense will be sneaky good enough to compete with some of these teams. That is what's going to keep them in some of these games with a Linval Joseph, a Joey Bosa, Kenneth Murray. Derwin James, is he still with them or did he leave? I don't know. I want to say James is still with him. I didn't hear anything about Derwin James getting out of there. So if you bring him back as well, he was gone to injury. So I do have this team going 11-6 in this division. At the worst, 9-8.
That's a hefty prediction. No, the expectations with Justin Herbert, they're expecting him to ascend to elite status, which a lot of people have placed him on already.
No.
They want Keenan Allen and Mike Williams to have monster seasons. They're expecting 10 to 11 wins, second place in the division with a wild card berth. The reality, with Eckler out with the Achilles, Hunter Henry to New England, Herbert's going to be asked to win a lot of games by himself.
Yep.
And that's too tall an ask. He doesn't have the weaponry around him. Teams can actually key on him. Him in his second year, he does not have the acumen to carry this team the way people are expecting him to.
Yeah.
Against the NFC East, Dallas, Washington, New York, Philly, 1-3. Think they'll beat the Eagles. They'll lose all the rest of those games. Against the AFC North, 1-3. Think they will beat Pittsburgh, and they will lose all the rest of those games. Pittsburgh has the worst secondary out of those, in addition to the least explosive offense. I think they can actually run the score up on Pittsburgh to beat them. The 3 games they get for finishing third in the division: Houston, New England, Minnesota. I think they lose to Houston. They lose to Minnesota. Actually, they'll go, my bad. They'll go 2-1 in those games. They'll beat Houston, and they'll beat Minnesota. That's where I've got it. They're going to lose to New England because they got trashed by them 45-0 last year. Thank you to those that were so adamant to correct me about the score. They will lose to New England again. They can beat Houston. We just talked about Houston a couple of weeks ago. Houston's a dumpster fire. They're not beating anybody. They got Minnesota in a primetime game. Minnesota never plays good when it's not at 1 o'clock. They'll get them. In the division, KC, Vegas, Denver, 2-4. They'll win 1 game against the Raiders, 1 game against the Broncos. So I've got them at a total record of 6-11. They'll actually regress. 1 less win, 2 more losses for the Chargers. 6-11. I'm not sold.
The exact opposite of me for the singing.
Last
I knew
team.
you were going to conflict on that, though.
Last team for the AFC West, the Denver Broncos. 5-11 last season, missed the playoffs. What are your expectations and your reality?
Expecting this team to ask Drew Lock to step the hell aside and let Teddy Bridgewater be the starter. Teddy Bridgewater played himself back into the NFL. I know he's not going to be a top player, but he can be a manager and to a point a winner of a game if you give him the right pieces, which realistically Denver does have. But we're looking at Drew Lock. He's never been anything people cracked him up to be, and there was so much stupid praise. It's like, guys, we know Drew Lock is not the answer in Denver because that's why Teddy came in. Then you look at the fact that the offense wants to have some substantial juice this year. You get Cortland Sutton back from injury, only, really no time at all last year in the NFL. Jerry Jeudy is going to be in his sophomore year. And then drafting Javonte Williams to pair up with Melvin Gordon, I think could be a high caliber 1-2 punch in the NFL. And then this team is going to continue to be great defensively. I think they could be top 10 when you look at Justin Simmons, Kyle Fuller, Bradley Chubb, Von Miller. And then you did just draft Patrick Surtain as well, which some people were kind of, shocked about that. But hey, if you feel like that's the best corner and you need him, get him off the board. You have the high pick and I was more of an advocate of a quarterback pick, but hey, either way, as long as Justin Fields performs and he does what you need him to do, as you took him in that pick in the NFL draft. Now we're going on to the reality. No spike in here in the wins. It's going to be another 5-win season, but with one more loss because we are on to the 17-game year. 5-12 record. And the Broncos, I think, are going to be a little too stupid for a little too long. They're going to let Drew Lock stay in there. And just Teddy Bridgewater, when he could have came in and potentially made them at least fight for a spot, they're not going to give him the time of day. So I do think they're going to bank too much on Drew Lock. Now, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, I think they could become a very good duo in the NFL for wide receivers. And then you also look at, again, like I said, Javonte Williams wasn't a big one punch. He had Michael Carter there next to him in UNC. Melvin Gordon's a great 2-punch as well. So I think they're going to perform like we expect them to. And then the secondary with the Broncos. PFF has them as the best ranked secondary in the NFL. Bryce Callahan, Kyle Fuller, Ronald Darby, Justin Simmons. You've got a lot of great players. You've got a great safety tandem, and they could give a lot of teams issues in the NFL. They're not going to be able to get the coaching right, though, and we know this team is going to fall towards the bottom. It is a 5-12 team, last in the AFC West. Fees, take us out tonight, man.
Denver Broncos expectations for Teddy Bridgewater with Melvin Gordon and the rookie Javonte Williams behind them. Young wide receiving core with Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and a defense that boasts Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Kyle Fuller, and the rook Pat Surtain. They're expecting 9 to 10 wins and a wild card berth, second place in the division. They definitely are looking for a turnaround. The reality, they'll be substantially better than they were last year, if for nothing else because of the quarterback play. They'll have a very respectable season and a record that actually reflects it. Against the NFC East, I got them going 2-2. Against Dallas, Washington, New York, and Philly. Against the AFC North, I've also got them going 2-2. Their 3 games they get for finishing last place in the division definitely helps them out record-wise. They got Jacksonville, they got the Jets, and they got the Lions. They'll go 3-0 in those games. That's like 3 very, those are cherry-pick games, which will boost up your record at the end of the year. In the division, I got them going 2-4. They'll get swept by Kansas City. They'll split games with Vegas and split games with the Chargers. I've got the Denver Broncos finishing the season at 9-8. That will actually get them third place because their division record will be worse than the Raiders' division record with the same record. But 9-8 is very much like that. That's a very respectable season coming off of 5-11. So we look at the entire AFC West. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs first at 13-4. The Las Vegas Raiders at second, 9-8. The Denver Broncos in third, also at 9-8, losing the tiebreaker via division record. And the Los Angeles Chargers in last place at 6-11.
I hate to hear that for the Chargers, man. Hate to hear that. First place for me, though, is going to be the Chiefs. Of course, I do have them going 14-3. At second place here, we are going to have the LA Chargers going 11-6 in the division. At the worst, 9-7. But I am banking on about a 10-11 win team, and it looks like they'll be able to be above the others here to get second in the division. At third, we are going to have the Las Vegas Raiders at 6-11. And then coming in last at fourth is going to be the Denver Broncos at 5-12. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 minutes until we are out of here tonight. Fees, what a show, man. What a great show tonight, finishing out the NFL.
Yes, sir.
Great show tonight, finishing the NFL.
This has been great, man. We love the expectations versus reality, man. Make sure y'all jump in on the YouTube page. Check out all the videos. Follow the show, just like we tell you. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Do what you do. Make sure you jump in on the Fantasy League. I put the link inside the comments on the Facebook and the Instagram and the YouTube. I'll also put it on the Facebook page. Make sure you guys jump in there. We still got slots available. As always, man, every Wednesday night, Tuesday night, we appreciate all of y'all. Love the new listeners that jumped in. We'll be back next Tuesday for the next show. We're going to jump in on the fantasy football rankings. Y'all know how to find me. It's Famous Fees, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everything. The TikTok. Quick one little piece. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom says you got to wear a mask everywhere in Atlanta now. Inside, public and private businesses. Just letting y'all know that pop up on the feed. Take them away.
Man, great show tonight. So great to be back. We'll be here next Tuesday. Don't forget to call the show, 678-871-9602. Some interactive sponsorships coming up soon for you guys. Check the link in all social media accounts. Check the bio. Every bit of content we have. If you can't find us, it's because you're not looking for us, guys. We are out. We'll be here next Tuesday. Look for the content, baby. Appreciate y'all.